So hello guys, today I want to make a tier list of the Lost Centuria monsters based on the beta testing. When the real launch happens, there's a huge chance that they may tweak some numbers, balance that, balance this, but based on the beta test, how frequently did I see this one, how powerful do I think this one is, and I would be happy if you correct me if I'm like drastically wrong about something. Also, I grouped them. First you have supports, then you have debuff type units, then you just have the damage dealers, you have tanks, and at the end you have units which I just didn't know how to evaluate, how to rank. And obviously S tier is the best one, D tier is the worst one, yada 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 yada. Obviously, we don't need more rows. There are not that many characters, we don't need to be that specific. So let's just start with the supports, and we're gonna start with Konamiya. I've seen her exactly once in one of these special leagues where she was comboed with Lucian, and it wasn't very powerful, and that's the only time I've seen her used. Lucy on the other side is going to go into the good tier because you can put her in every single comp out there and she's going to be fine. Like, just healing is strong. She just heals you, but that's strong enough. Shannon is a guilty pleasure of mine. I know she's not very strong, I do realize that, but I like to have a unit which I can use at the beginning of the game. Her skill is very cheap obviously, so at least I can start the game from somewhere. I love these type of units, there are a bunch of them. Bernard is also gonna go into the same C tier, simply because Megan is better. If you want to use acceleration type ability, usually you play some sort of a damage dealing AoE type comp, where obviously Megan is just going to be better. And if you use some sort of a control type comp where you want to use more of your abilities, there are better options. For example, Poseidon, he's just much stronger in such type of comp. Colleen, incredibly basic. Obviously there are better alternatives than her. There is not much I gotta say here. I want to put her in C tier just because at the end of the day she's not bad, probably she's going to be a decent free-to-play alternative when the real launch happens. McCann, I saw so much of her and I want to ask you guys, do I miss something? Because every time I play her, she's useless. She's so squishy, she dies from everything, and I'm gonna just follow my gut here and say she's one of the worst units in the entire game. She doesn't do anything. Same goes for Bella. At the beginning I saw a bunch of him, but then people realized that his healing is just very, very, very mediocre. Math! Oh my god, at the beginning, what I thought though is that I could decide what my opponent's going to attack, the armor buff, the switcheroo, I can counter, blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's not what happens. First of all, you can't really use him to counter abilities, he's bad at this. You're giving free opportunity to your opponent to counter and do whatever they want if you want to use his ability, and the duration of the switcheroo is very, very low. So bye bye. Megan, the first 8 here, great for damage type comps, just great. Basically the core of every single damage type comp is Megan, Beretta, and Lucian, and sometimes Train. Galleon, at the beginning people really used him a lot, and then they realized that his skill is just way too expensive, and that these AoE damage dealing comps which I'm describing here don't need armor break debuff, because Lucian ignore defense, Beretta does damage with his dots, and yes, Train can benefit from the defense break, but he does ridiculous damage already. Galleon is gonna go into the C tier. Zoha, not a lot which I have to say. The first S tier here, incredible. She single-handedly invalidated so many characters here. For example, you don't see Wuza that much, you don't see Eleanor that much because of Zoha. Her ability is way too good. I'm not sure how would I nerf her when the real launch happens. Maybe just give the stolen buff to only the backline or the front line. Maybe be capable of stealing only one buff, not all of them. But for sure, she's way too strong right now. Next one, Chloe. Chloe is gonna go into the A tier for me. The biggest advantage of Chloe is that you can cheat mana with her. You can counter more expensive abilities from your opponent, mostly Lucian and Tessarion here and there. That was her main usage. I'm not sure, is that worth whole team slot? Because she's also very squishy. She's between B and A, I can't really decide. I'm gonna leave her in A for now. Eleanor has great kit, but Zoha is out there, and Artemio too. I'm just gonna say it out there, Artemio is way too strong, he goes into S tier. Just let's get the obvious out of the way. The problem with Eleanor is that in human form, yes, she heals, she gives crit resistance, that's good. But when she gets pony form, where she should shine as being semi-frontline or semi-support, you can't use her ability, because if Zoha successfully steals your buffs, you die. Your damage reflection buff is just getting stolen and you die. This happened to me 3-4 times, like, before I realized that every time I use the pony, I have to very carefully look, is there a Zoha at the opponent team? If there is, I just didn't use the pony at all. I just didn't. Wuza suffers from the same fate, but the punishment with him is not that severe. That's the huge difference. He's just great. Main counter to the AoE damage type comps, obviously, but also, even if Zoha steals the buffs, it's not as punishing. You still have a way to recover. Or with Eleanor, that's not the case. Now we get to the debuff type units. And first we have the Harpy. You saw a bunch of her before, people just find out better units. I'm gonna put her in C tier. She's fine, I guess, but very mediocre. Huadam! There's so many better options than Huadam. On paper, he's not bad, for sure. That's something which I want to say. He's for sure not bad. But that's only on paper. And then you see at some of the legendaries like Tessarion, you can look at just units like Poseidon, Agani, and you see that he lacks. Attack decrease is fine, but also his damage output is not high enough. Yeah, I want to put him here. At the end, we might just try to rank them. For example, Huadam can be at the top of the D tier and Bellic can be at the bottom, but that's maybe not needed. At the end of the day, a lot of things will get changed, and I don't think we need to be that specific in this. Orion, obviously he's gonna go here, but I want to say something. I do believe that we still didn't get the content which is gonna make Orion shine. Because obviously his skill is just not worth it in real-time PvP or in PvE. But maybe some sort of an alliance activity maybe can bring him to life. And also the office missions, he provides very unique debuffs, which makes him kind of valuable. I want to put him in C. I really like him, but he's not good. Beretta, I don't know, should I put him in S or A, but I'm gonna stick up with A tier here. Especially when we had the special league where you couldn't buff or heal your allies. He was ridiculously powerful. Everybody used him. And from that point on, a lot of people realized that this kind of cleaving comp can work. It's the way a cleaving comp should be, because Lucian on his own just can't be enough. Or at least with the rune quality we had, with the lack of skill stones we had, obviously that's not going to be enough. But Beretta does decent damage, he's decently tanky, so he's not getting randomly one-shotted by Ragdoll or something like that, and is very, very consistent in what he does. For example, you're gonna see, let's talk about Rika first, because she's going to be on the other spectrum of things. On paper, the teddy bear curse thing should be stronger. Rika should be a stronger Beretta, but in reality, she's getting resisted way too frequently because of low rune quality we have right now. You can't really use her right now. I'm gonna put her in C tier because I see she's not horrible. In the future, when we figure out better teams, when we get better runes, she probably will become better, but right now she wasn't a really good, maybe the worst legendary in the beta testing. Hathor, you couldn't go wrong with her. It's not Sky Arena, she's not broken for sure, but the sleep ability is just very, very strong. Sierra is a very interesting one here. I don't see a reason why would you run Sierra over Zoha, but I saw a bunch of Sierras. AoE stripping stuff is fine. I'm gonna put her in A, even though my gut tells me she's more of a B tier, but I saw a lot of her, like a lot of people used her. Maybe there is some magical combination with Zebrota which I haven't seen. Tessarion, easy S tier. I don't think I have to explain a lot here, he's just very good. Consistent, decently tanky, great damage output, and the AoE stun is just amazing. Now I get to the damage dealers, and again, this thing doesn't do anything, this thing doesn't do enough. This guy, the Inferno, is not bad. I'm gonna say that, it's not bad, but his skill costs way too much. If his skill costed 4, maybe there would be a merit for using him, but at 5, and as how squishy he is, there's just no way you're gonna use him. Kali is gonna go into C tier simply because she does great damage. And kind of that's it, she does great damage, but nothing more. Even the damage dealers needs to do more. Orochi, he goes into C tier too. He doesn't do enough, that's the issue here, he just doesn't do enough. I'm sorry again, but he doesn't. I know some people like to use him, maybe there is a magical combination with Train which I'm missing, but right now he just lacks compared to the others. Train is gonna go into B tier. The reason, he's not in all these AoE type comps with Beretta. Some just like to use Beretta, Lucian, Megan, and Gani, Poseidon, something like this. Something AoE damage dealer, Zyros, Perna, something like this. I think he's fine, but I also get the best skill stone for him pretty early, so that's why I probably got good results playing with Train. Lucian, easy S tier. Yeah, I don't know what should I say here. I love the fact that they kept the essence of Lucian, transferring him from Skyrina to Lost Centuria, because let's be honest, they did a great job in this. Most of the units you can easily see that they've kept the essence. For example, Zoha, I didn't even know she can steal buffs before, but I rarely saw her. Artemio, I am associating much more with the counterattacks and the stun, than with high damage output and strip. Tessarion I'm associating with Oblivion status, not with AoE stun. But Lucian, yes. Ignore defense, AoE damage, that's Lucian, they kept the essence. And overall they did a great job with that, because Wuze is what he is, Hathor is what he is, Chloe, they kept the most significant ability of her kit, the immunity. Lapis is between B and A tier, that's for sure. I have troubles choosing where to put her, because at the end of the day, she can solo some teams. I've been sold by Lapis and I know she can be very good, but where do you put her in your team is a very tricky question. You have to be very innovative and very creative while making team with Lapis. Is she going to be your main damage threat? Is she going to be a frontline addition like slot 4 or the first backliner slot 5? I'm gonna say B for now, but I may be wrong here. She may be better. Sitch, the samurai guy, is going to be in going to be in A tier, the very good tier, because at the beginning most people used Sophia, but as the time went on, heal block became obviously very, very strong. Like, people started realizing that heal block, unlike in Sky Arena, is very, very, very valuable here. And he does great damage, and he does the armor break. In my opinion, he is a better Sophia. That being said, Sophia will also go in the A tier. The first day or two in the beta testing, everybody thought Sophia is broken, but it ended up that there are better options than just dealing huge single target damage. The Phantom Thief, I'm gonna put in the back of the B tier, and I want to explain why. I know he doesn't do damage, I know he's not very versatile, and I know most people didn't use him. Based on that, probably he's a C tier, but I like to use him, and there are certain moments where you can just win by having him. If he's always countering Lucian, you just win. There's no way for you to lose after that. If he's always countering a Gani or a Hathor, you can win some mana and stop a very, very valuable ability from your opponent. But on the flip side of things, if he's countering, for example, an Wuza, a Megan, an Lucia, a Lapis, he's useless. A Poseidon happened to me once, very, very bad experience. So he's kind of a 50-50 type of unit. It can be great, it can be horrible, but he has potential, that's for sure. Verdehaio is going to be in B tier, not crazy at all. He's just decent single target, self-sustained unit, but worse than Sitch and Sophia in my opinion. Hua is between B and A. I'm gonna put her in A with the other two. Like these three here are very close to each other for sure, but there is just one unit which blows them away, like all of them away, because all of them have strengths. You can make an argument about all of these being put in your team and they're all fine. They all provide different strengths and it will probably depend on the meta. Purna, I rarely saw her. Like I was very rarely encountering Purna. But I gotta admit the revivability is very powerful and will probably be very powerful in some of these special leagues. I remember the non-healing one. I lost to, like, my losses came from 2 teams with Purna, and the third one was just better cleaving comp than mine. This bird has potential, but for now, I don't think she was that good in the real-time PvP. Blame me, Rakan! All of you, get your pitchforks out. I don't think Rakan is that powerful. I know a lot of you used him. He was probably the most frequent legendary which I encountered. But he wasn't dealing a lot. Like, he wasn't dealing a lot of damage. He wasn't tanky enough to be a, like, stable frontliner. And again, you're getting destroyed by Zoha. That's huge, huge, huge minus. Huge minus. Huge, huge, huge minus. I want to say that. Huge, huge, huge minus. You should not give yourself buffs because Zoha is everywhere. She's freaking everywhere. Maybe, just maybe he's gonna go here. Just so we can say freely he's very close to A tier, but I don't believe he's there yet. Zyros on the other side is for sure A tier, huge damage output, and that's a lot. AoE damage output, even single target damage dealing comps can use AoE sometimes. Sometimes I saw Zyros in this AoE with Beretta, Train, blah 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 blah. So he's just versatile damage dealer, and the one damage dealer which is obviously gonna go in the S tier is going to be Ragdoll plus Lucian obviously, but Lucian is an exception. Ragdoll is incredible. He's just incredible. You can control where the damage is going. He's tankier than usual. He has huge damage output, and he can be put in nearly every single slot in your team because he can be at the very, very, like slot 8, slot 7, very backline as the main damage dealer. He can be just a bruiser type damage dealer in slot 2 to 6. Ragdoll, as in Sky Arena, like they stay true to the Sky Arena stuff. Artemio is way too broken, Lucian's broken, Ragdoll's broken. Now let's get to the tanks, and honestly now when I look at them, first of all there are a very small amount of tanks in the game, but it looks like the better the rank, the better the tank. Royd is horrible, one of the worst if not the worst monster in the game. Doesn't do enough. Ramagos, I'm gonna put in C tier I guess. He's not that bad for sure, but even though he's not that bad, there are better alternatives. And these 2 better alternatives, we're going to them, like 3 better alternatives. Kun, again, I don't understand why so many people used him. He goes in D tier, his skill doesn't do anything, he's just a meat shield. Copper, we didn't have the rune quality to make him work. Based on the beta testing, he should be here because you didn't have the rune quality to make his defense high enough so he can have double the defense of the opponents and ignore defense. So I can't evaluate how much damage would he do if you had high enough defense. Probably in the future, but for now he's in the D tier. And these 2, just the best tanks. right now you have, they both go together in A tier. They're both great. They're just the best tanks in the game. Camilla! I've encountered two types of Camilla actually. The weak ones where I couldn't do anything against them, and the very, very underperforming ones. I do believe it all comes down to having good rune quality and the correct skill stone, skill card, whatever it's called. Based on that, based only on the beta testing, I'm gonna put her also in A tier, but she has great potential to probably rise to S tier very soon. And now we go to the units which I wasn't entirely sure where should I put. The Barbarian King guy, I can't pronounce his name. Goes. He goes. Maybe in C tier. He doesn't do a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. He doesn't do a lot. He exists, I guess. Diaz! He's not tanky enough to be a frontliner. Like, he's not tanky enough to take one of the two frontline spots, the slot 1, slot 2. And that's very important because for such kit which just provides the AoE heal block, you need to be a tank. You need to be a tank with versatile ability which can be used here and there. I tried to make him work because I got a skill stone for him. I had a bunch of cards for him. He's not great. That's all I'm gonna say. And I honestly don't see how he's gonna become much better unless they just strictly buff him. The meta should be very specific. Genny is really close to S tier, but I'm gonna put him here in A tier. Great damage output, great shuffling ability, but I was rarely encountering him, which should mean I'm missing something here, but I'm not sure why. On paper, he's great. Jeanne, I saw a bunch of her at the beginning and then nobody was using her anymore. Decent, I guess, but there are better alternatives in my opinion. Come on, from the beginning till the end, S tier for sure, amazing. First of all, heal block to single target is very valuable, as I've said already. Second of all, great damage output. Third of all, great healing. Fourth of all, flexibility in terms of where you're gonna put him in your team. Just amazing. The Lizard Man, I checked the game, it says that this is a tank. I would never be capable of guessing. I would never be able to guess that this thing is supposed to be a tank. It doesn't do anything. It really doesn't do anything. Monkey King, the next S tier entrance. Great damage output, great tankiness, and the clone mechanic, as I've said already, is broken. The clone should not be revived with so much HP, it should not be. Poseidon, an amazing, great control unit. If you have Poseidon, you basically had already a great team. That's how powerful he was. Decreasing the speed with which your opponent gets mana is obviously very good. His damage is great. He can be put in multiple slots because he deals decent damage. He has decent tankiness in terms of stats, decent HP and defense. And the last two units which are left here, monsters units, whatever they are the two which I've never encountered. Zebrota I've played against once, the first or second day I played the game. It was put as a frontliner, so I assumed that it was just a new player. The first day of the player, he didn't know what was happening. And just because I've never ever seen that thing again, I would go ahead and guess it's just horrible, because I've never used it myself either. Because just look at the artwork, it's creepy. Ugh. Alicia is... I have no idea. I played once against her, she used her ability once, I didn't even understand what she does, and I lost. So... I guess she should be just a decent control type unit, and I'm just gonna put her in B tier and assume she's just worse than Genny, Hathor, and the other ones. I can be wrong here. If there is anyone who actually used her, I'm gonna be very happy if you tell me. Is she good? What am I missing here? So that's overall it. Let's see if we've made any mistakes, but overall S tier, I stand behind what I've said. A tier, Hathor might need to drop to B tier, but I'm gonna leave her here for now. Sierra, I've talked about her already, she's gonna stay here. B tier, Rakan can probably go up, but I won't give him this opportunity. And honestly, I don't see anything. Like, Huadem is the only kind of decent monster in D tier, I suppose. It looks fair. At the end, I'm curious how much do you disagree with me? Yeah, just share your thoughts, I'm curious here.